the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Good morning. I'm Woody Dixon. I'm your board member of the day. I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Galveston County.
This morning's opening words are from Eugene Debs, American labor leader and socialist candidate for president at the turn of the century. But before I do the reading, I would like to call your attention to the fact that the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations issued a statement of conscience in 2002 called Alternatives to the War on Drugs. I'll have a copy of this in the back, and you can also find it online. It's a very well-reasoned, well-thought-out examination both of the problems caused by the war on drugs as well as what some of the alternative solutions would be for drug use and drug abuse in our society. Okay, I would like to call Rev Dean Becker up to the front. He has a reading for us.
Good morning. It's a wonderful opportunity to talk about the truth. I want to talk about compassion in the state of Texas. I want to read from an article from the Houston Chronicle written by Professor William Martin. He's a senior fellow at the James A. Baker III Institute for Policy Studies, Rice University. Send the right message about needle exchange. Texas has the chance to be prudent and compassionate. Few images of drug use are more potent than that of the needle in the shaky hand of a junkie searching the tracks of his arm for one more injection. Using drugs such as heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamines, particularly in the corrupted state in which they typically reach the retail market, is risky business. That risk is markedly increased when users share needles contaminated with bloodborne diseases such as HIV, AIDS, and hepatitis. One may regard this situation as just desserts, even if regrettable from an avoidable cause. The current estimate of the lifetime cost of treating one person with HIV is approximately $155,000. The cost of a clean syringe, about 7 cents. I want to close with the professor's thoughts on this. He said, what we are saying to these people, do you know Texas, by the way, is the only state that does not allow for needle exchange. But he's saying what we are saying to these people, even though it would dramatically cut the amount of money society will have to spend on you and those you infect, but because we believe what you are doing is illegal, immoral, and sinful, we are not going to do what we know works. As upright, moral, sincerely religious people, we prefer that you and others in your social orbit die. Now, the professor is a minister, a very learned man, very well respected, certainly within the United States and perhaps worldwide. And I'll close this out with Thursday's Chronicle. They state that the House Public Health Chairwoman Diane White Delsey, a Republican out of Temple, said Wednesday she won't allow the Texas Senate to even hear a needle exchange bill. It was passed by the Senate, but it is not going to the House because she won't allow it. She says, I have not been persuaded that the public health benefits outweigh the concerns of many members, myself included, of providing needles for those that are using illegal drugs. And again, Texas is the only state in the country that does not allow for needle exchange. Chairwoman Delsey is also responsible for thwarting the efforts to bring a medical marijuana bill, very diluted marijuana bill, before the Texas House. Her morals prevent her from being compassionate. And I just think it's a shame that Texas leads the world in the incarceration of its own people because of that same moral stance. I've got more to say, but I wanted to share this with you. I just think it's an outrage. Like many of us, this time of year, you get sinus problems. I think yesterday I had a sinus infection and a migraine One of the pain was from the front to the back of the head, going down into the neck. And I hate, prescription drugs. I don't use them. I used a lot in my youth, like many folks. I heard about some youngsters getting into trouble, some making anniversary of being sober or away from these drugs. But I have a friend who heard about my dilemma. I couldn't hardly read. Today it's getting better. But they brought me over a Vicodin, right? A couple of Vicodin. Now, this, you see that guy House on TV. He does Vicodin, pops them direct from the bottle. I didn't take them, mind you. But I thought, well, what if I get down there? I'm in great pain. Yesterday, it was like I couldn't hardly read at all. And I brought one. I got it in my pocket. And now there's probably some kind of Texas statute makes me a trafficker or something. My friend is probably a trafficker for having given me that drug. Like many law enforcement officials, retired officials, I don't think guns are, everybody should strap one on like the Old West, walk around with it. But I keep one in the house. And because of that, if these law enforcement officials had kicked in my door, found this Vicodin, found the gun, suddenly I am a major criminal. My sentence would be double. Most of us are pretty good people, not of a criminal mindset. We don't set out to harm ourselves or one another. And we all know that alcohol is by far the big killer of all the drugs. Kills about 120,000 each year just from, cirrhosis and kidney failure and liver failure. And the long-term killer, tobacco, kills about 400,000 plus every year. More than 1,000 Americans every day dead because of tobacco. Now, it's hard to track the stats on these illegal drugs, these recreational drugs, marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine. That's the big new demon drug du jour, whatever you want to call it. Though you reach back into the 60s when it was quasi-legal, you could get bennies for 10 for $1 at the truck stop. The truck drivers were using them, as they're still using them, but now they're all criminals as well. And what we have to do is think about, what is this drug war supposed to accomplish? What is it doing on our behalf? I give lots of talks around, mostly in Texas, but I get around the country. I get to talk here and there in D.C. once in a while. But there is no one that really has a good idea, except those whose mortgage payment depends on eternal drug war. Most folks say it's to protect the children. The children right now, because of this black market, this world's largest multi-level marketing organization, can pick up the phone and drugs are delivered within the hour. Because I guess that's how we want it to be. Our leaders, our politicians, both state and federal, like that lady DeLacy, whatever her name, who said, I'm just not convinced. She's not a doctor, but she's not convinced, for some reason unknown to the rest of us, that it's a good idea to save lives, to protect whole families where these diseases are sometimes spread just by bad hygiene. And I guess the point I want to make is, we have these people, you've heard the term, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. Well, that's what this lady does. That's what many of these politicians do. They pretend they know something, and they act all high and mighty and moral, and say they're protecting the future.